Yeah, I mean, I want to start by congratulating you on your nomination for the ASC Award.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, I mean, you've talked very extensively about Oppenheimer already, but I would love to talk about, I mean, there's so much about this film that can be discussed, from the technical aspects of, working with Dan Sasaki to create a probe lens and doing large format, like 65 millimeter black and white. Like there's so much that's kind of pioneering about this film, but
Mm.
uh from that technical perspective, but also from the emotional, what did you really from this experience, what do you think you've taken with you going forward as a cinematographer?
Oof. Uh,
I know it's a big question.
it's a big question. I mean, well, coming back to sort of the engineering of it and then talking about it, I always enjoyed it a lot. And, I always have the feeling that every film should kind of, have its own unique language, if you will, And I think that for me, it's always very exciting to come up with things that are not necessarily just sort of chosen off a shelf, but I love the idea that when you read a script, you come across problems that you have to solve, almost like a puzzle, and that those problems are kind of unique to every specific film. So that's always where our work with a lot of other people like Dan Sasaki, but also my crew, they're all super ingenious people, and IMAX or Kodak in this case. But then in the end, like the period now where we get we get so warmly recognized by by, for instance, an ASC nomination. It's so nice because it's something that we kind of celebrate with a lot of people. It's a lot of people that are involved with the joy of that.
Yeah.
My crew is so into it, and I met Dan Sasaki the other day. I mean, they're all very excited because they all see um, a little bit payoff of their hard work,
Yeah.
and I'll take a lot of pride and a lot of honor from sort of, yeah, seeing their work nicely represented as well.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to pull something off like that, it is an utter collaboration.
Yeah,
uh
it sounds like a cliche, but listen, it's really true. In this case, it's very, very true. And we constantly were asking like ridiculous things from people around, like uh and we're always so naggy, and we're always like, oh please, and can you do it, and can you do that, and we're sure you can do it. And you know when people see us coming, they're always sort of like, oh, there they are again, and they first try to hide away a little bit, but no, but then we start working, and it's always super creative, super creative.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that was achieved with this film. Is there any particular scene or setup that really stands out to you as something that you're just so excited that you were able to achieve?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to generalize it a little bit because this is for Chris a very different film than the other films, and that manifests itself in a lot of scenes. I mean, for me, this was very exciting because we always could rely so much on the vastness and the scope, and the landscapes and the action, and so on. Whereas this is obviously is much more intimate, and it all happens, inside the head of a troubled soul, and so in that way, it really challenged our approach.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about this a lot, about the faces that are in the film, and the fact that instead of on the big scale, now everything happens in the faces or in the eyes of people, and
Mhm.
sometimes they don't even happen in the eyes, but they happen sort of beyond the eyes, in somebody's mind,
Yeah.
and it was up to us to sort of um, find a way to give people the feeling that they had access to whatever goes on there as well. But sometimes there's some scenes in the films that are literally just people talking, and I just remembered so much from shooting how even those simple scenes were troubling us so much, because we were always very, we were always very sort of wary or cautious that this film kept the pace, and that you as a viewer, you never really got bored of looking at it visually, although you're kind of shooting a lot of, you know similar shots, you could say. So
Yeah.
so it was a big challenge, sort of, to keep the rhythm of this film, and to keep this film sort of continuously sucking in the people. And I think that was a challenge. But therefore, when I see sometimes like very simple, like, you know talk scenes or over the shoulder scenes, I always get thrown back to those dilemmas, and so on. And now that the film has, I think it has been very successful in terms of like audience, and it was all beyond our expectation, and people really responded to it very well. I'm very proud. I'm very proud of having gone through these dilemmas, and not always having chosen easy way out, and yeah, still trying to tell something that feels, yeah, pure and honest, and raw at times as well.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And I think it's so important approaching something of such a vast scale to still have, that attention to detail and nuance when it comes to
Mhm.
just storytelling and those talk scenes, because really that's where so much of it lives. I mean,
Mhm.
in the end, like it comes down to character and being able to portray
Mhm.
the story, which I think that Oppenheimer does a very great job of balancing the two, the vast scale of it in some ways, but also making it very character centric.
Yeah, and
Um,
I also have that belief that like a good film is not only what it is within its own frames, but it's also a little bit what you can project on it, and what you are allowed to project on it as a viewer.
Mhm.
And especially if you make a film about very complex concepts like quantum physics and so on,
Yeah,
there's no way to explain an amateur what it exactly is, quantum physics.
right.
Difficult, because first you have to understand it yourself, and then you have to find ways to explain it to people. And then there's a very little group that actually understand quantum physics, but still, like, to have a feeling that you somewhat understand quantum physics is very essential in order to watch the film, I think.
Mhm.
Just the understanding that you could understand, and that this film is not speeding too far ahead for you, or
Right.
that you can at least sort of identify with our main hero, that has visions that are very, almost supernatural, and ways ahead, and those kind of things. And I think that we project a lot of thoughts onto him, and we project a lot through his eyes as well. and
Mhm.
and and so I like the idea that this film is not only something that lives within the constraint of a frame, but it's also something that lives a little bit outside there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it is. It's very interesting making a film about concepts that very few people that are watching it will really fully understand, but how can you connect despite all of that? So, yeah, what's it like to be nominated for the ASC Award for this film?
I mean, listen, the ASC nomination is for me one of the nicer ones, or
Yeah.
the nicest ones. It's very, very nice to be, acknowledged by people that fight the same kind of fights that you fight as a DP, and really understand what what the craft and what the profession is, and what the dilemmas are, and how hard it is to achieve certain things, and how much effort you have to put into it. And so the ASC is, I think, is for me, is one of the highest honors.
Yeah.
um I don't take it lightly. I'm very proud of this film, but of course, an ASC nomination makes me, proud as a peacock.
Well, cool. I mean, those are really the things I wanted to ask you. I wanted to keep it succinct. Is there anything that, I haven't mentioned? I mean, you've talked so much already about this film, but like, is there anything else you want to share?
I don't, not necessarily something I've already shared in many, and I had a talk very recently at ASC as well.
Hmm.
Um, so I have the feeling that I should shut up and I should just. But anyway, I think that's a nice thing with us as DPs, right? You know, we're not necessarily the most verbal people, but we have very strong sensibilities and sensitivities, and our language is image. As we say so often, the proof is in the pudding. You can talk about things, but in the end, you know, people have to respond to our images,
Yeah.
and they have to respond in them in an emotional or in a soulful way, and they have to feel them, and that is very much what we do. So I don't need to speak more about it. Or the only thing I can say is I'm super grateful of the vast amounts that have been seeing the film,
Hmm.
in theater.
Yeah.
That's huge for us. We always, you know, I see very often, oh, you have to see it the way that we intended it. Um, I always feel a little bit bad and a little bit guilty about it
Yeah.
because a lot of people cannot go to the theater, and I don't think that you have to go to the theater. I just wanted to say that um, we're putting a lot of effort in it, so that if you go to the theater and if you choose to see the film, you'll get the best possible version of
Hmm.
we know it. And
Yeah.
then however you watch it, you that's your choice, and I'm super happy that so many people watch this.
Yeah, I'm sure it's very impactful on a iPad as well. I'm very lucky that I got to see it in
Oh yeah.
theaters, and I think that experience is something, worthwhile. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of movies that were meant to be seen in theaters that I didn't get that chance to do.
No,
And
and also I don't want to downplay. The DCPs and the digital versions of the film we did. They're done by Costas at Photocam, and he's
Mhm.
doing this incredible job as well. And because we're always talking and boasting about, oh, we do everything analog and we shoot everything analog, and then we do the whole post process analog. But when that is done, of course, the film gets projected on DCPs in huge numbers, and he's doing a really beautiful job to kind of emulate or
Yeah.
and achieve that feeling that what we all feel when we sit at a screen or a projection.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a great time. It's a great time to be seeing movies because the technology is there to be able to see them in a really great way in a multitude of forms, which is exciting.
Absolutely. And I also feel very much a new kindled like hunger from people to go and see movies. And
Hmm.
not only see movies, but also see them in theater. I mean, that whole Barbenheimer thing was just
Yeah.
out of this world. It was madness, and it was just so positive and so incredible.
Yeah. No, it's exciting. I hadn't seen that much excitement about going to the
No,
movies in quite a while. And I have to say, I didn't do Barbenheimer in one day. I went one day to see Barbie and then another
neither.
to see Oppenheimer. But it was something special. So it's really cool that your film was a part of that because it brought so many people to the
Oh
theater.
yeah, yeah, and in the end, it's all about the love for the cinema, isn't it? It's like
Hmm.
it's a very good reason to get out of your bed every morning, I think,
I
as a
agree.
filmmaker.